So while this might not have been the most visually polished episode of So I'm a Spider, So What, there's definitely some information that got dropped that I really enjoy, especially towards the end of this episode where, we get Best Vampire popping up with Hugo, arguably Best Boy. I mean, who can't love a good chaos-inflicting character like Hugo? I totally expect eventually there's going to come a point where someone's just gonna behead him just because they're through with his shit, but for the time being, he invokes a level of chaos that I really enjoy. The idea of skill stealing, the idea that basically on the admin side, Kumiko, Demon Lord, all that type of side, versus the elf side, there's two very different stories being told on what is the purpose of reincarnations. If you were to look at it through the elves' perspective, it's basically they get fattened up for all their skills and then they get harvested. But it's when you really look at what things are being said and who's saying it, it's not lining up. And naturally, you either are going to pick one of two sides, or if you're like me, you're saying both of these sides, whether it's the admin, whether it's the elves, are both bullshitting everyone, and the truth is probably hidden in both of their message, but they're basically warping it for their own political gain. To be honest, I do side more with the Demon Lord side. It does feel like more of them trying to prevent the end of the world, given the fact that seemingly things are being drained, resources can't handle it, and honestly, they probably are more on the right, especially considering when you have some elves that just seem so evil bastard that you could literally spot them up from a mile away. I mean, for a while there, people were saying, oh, the teachers, without a doubt, the reason these students are going to be screwed over. Nope, seems like it's most likely the headman in charge here who just gives me very bad vibes. But I think one of the more interesting things is the idea of basically the 7 deadly sins that gets brought up. The idea that you can, while it's not a direct harvest by what they said, you gain a little bit of pretty much everything that they've gained skill-wise, whether it's ability points, skill sets, things like that. And it's understandable how Hugo went from literally having everything drained of him to arguably being more powerful than he was at the time. And that's what's going to make, I think, next week, unless they completely shift it. I mean, this episode was completely human-focused, so maybe next week will be completely spider-focused. But if they do focus on Hugo versus Shun, I think, unless Shun's hero abilities are going to really come into a play, I wouldn't be surprised if Hugo completely wipes the floor with him. Granted, we don't really know all of what he's been able to do up until this point. Sensei almost killed him by literally sucking away the oxygen. So maybe there will be some sort of hero skill that allows him to completely annihilate him. But, it's going to be interesting for sure. I know every time any sort of human interaction pops up, whether it's the Crunchyroll comment section arguing, being like, oh, how dare they, I don't want to see this, or just people really only wanting to see the spider side. For me, what I love about the human side is even when you can look at the production of this episode, it's not that great. It's a lot of characters sliding in on screen, a lot of really sloppy 3D. But when you know the big battles coming up, like Demon Lord versus Kumiko, you want the resources put into that more so than a side that, from what the internet would tell you, everyone hates. So why put all these resources into making it slightly look better for the human side when everyone wants to see the spider side look as best as it could, as the human side further fleshes out the lore and world building, especially the character relationships. And that's what I like about Spider, is I feel like it's not afraid to make readers or viewers mad. Because a lot of times with these types of shows, it panders to one specific audience. And Spider has arguably one of the wider reaches, I think. Whether you're more into the political kind of mind trickery that's going on with the human side, the cute, fun, action-adventure side of the Spider side, it has a wide variety of things happening. And I think for an intro, because this is the intro to the show, while we're 21 episodes into it, I mean, this is clearly just getting started. I forget how many light novels are out, but it's quite a few. So, I mean, this show is just getting rolling. So the way they've kind of explored these relationships, and the fact that we have actually had a character reveal to non-reincarnated characters that, hey, we came from a world that was seemingly normal, and we're pretty damn sure it was intentional, and it wasn't a freak accident or anything like that. And while you could say some handle it pretty well, when you're literally casting magic and you have the voice of the god, these admins, it's kind of understandable, right? I mean, there was actually 2 points I expected 2 characters to fully end up dead. The first of which was Hugo. When the whole barrier came in, I actually thought they're gonna kill him, because Hugo to me is a character who I absolutely love having in the story, even though on a personal level you want to hit him over the head with a shovel. But the idea of him just being this, like, pure chaos energy, if he had a spiritual sign, it would be the embodiment of chaos. But he's a character who I totally expect could get beheaded or killed in a very, like, laughable or unexpected way, and him choking out, I think, would be a hilariously entertaining way to kill him. But the fact that, Best Vampire pops up to stop it makes total sense, and when it looked like she was about to kill another character, Sensei getting killed makes total sense to me. So Shun popping up, while in hindsight I should see that coming, I actually was pleasantly surprised by not only Hugo, but Sensei avoiding death without it feeling like, oh, you're just applying quote-unquote plot armor. No, it actually felt very interesting and actually was really entertaining for me, and sets up, their fight, whenever that will be, into a pretty interesting dynamic, especially considering that, you literally have Vampire here saying like, hey, you don't want my help, but I had to help you, otherwise you're dead. I doubt she'll just kind of stand mildly by because they are fighting on the same side. So that will be pretty interesting, especially considering, like, they were talking about before everything kind of hit the fan about where some of the other reincarnations would be. Logically speaking, on the Demon Lord side, one of them pops up, very much a prankster, a jokester, wasn't really sure what he was building up to, but how they destroyed the barrier. These elves, sitting in trees, literally just making fun of humans, you dumbass humans, how dare you think our... Oh shit, it actually is coming down. Plays right into the trope, but I mean, these elves, they needed a wake-up call, and goddamn did they get one. Very entertaining episode for that. And yeah, the production of this episode was arguably one of the worst I've seen in this show. There was a lot of 3D that wasn't even close to being the same quality as that of the best of the Spider stuff. I mean, this shot as an example, it was back in the PS2 era. There's no denying it. And a lot of the characters, they wouldn't move on screen. They would literally, if you're doing a slideshow back in high school and just, you didn't really know how to edit, so you just had these basic transitions. But to me, I don't know, it's like, it becomes an issue when it's episodes upon episodes of that. We're watching a back-to-back 2-core. I totally expect there's going to be issues, especially in an action-driven series. I can say I don't personally like a lot of the animation and how they presented some of the art, but it's not something that's been a consistent problem. I've complimented the production almost every single episode in some way, and there was some fun shots in this episode, especially Hugo when he starts using his magic and things like that. But there's a difference between criticizing aspects you don't enjoy versus saying, oh, it's absolute trash because one episode in a very painful industry that is the anime industry wasn't up to par with some of its best, right? If it becomes an issue for the remaining episodes, sure, that's a disappointment given how good it's looked. But, if you have to sacrifice quality in order to make sure the Demon Lord versus Kumiko fight looks good, sacrifice the quality in any area you need to be, because that's the fight I'm really interested in seeing and I want to look its absolute best. And given the fact all of her fights up until this point that had been really important have looked incredible, I mean, it's pretty clear where they're focusing their resources, right? To me, another interesting episode. Would it be one of the best of the season? No, but it had some good information, it revealed a lot, and it sets in motion a pretty dangerous situation for these humans, and it'll be interesting to see how they're going to direct the last 3 episodes before obviously they wrap it up, and we'll see if we get a season 2, or if many of us are going to have to jump into the source material, which I feel like there's going to be a lot of those people after this show wraps up. Whatever you're feeling though, let me know down below, drop a like to help promote the video, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.